Hey, I'm Vela Ray, and today you'll be joining me as I try my hand at gouache painting. Yep, I am kind of a newbie to gouache, and I have aspirations to become a gouache baddie, but so far I've been a gouache saddie. I don't know if that's actually funny, oh gosh. Even though I've been a gouache saddie, yes, I'm going to keep using that term, this painting turned out a lot better than I thought it would, and I learned quite a bit on the way. Most of my experience comes from oil painting. I've been oil painting for about 10 years now, and I've fallen in love with it, but when it comes to gouache, I've just loved seeing how other people have used it to get this more graphic, powerful, sometimes geometric look. So that's kind of why I gravitated towards it. The problem is, if you know anything about oils, it's not the easiest transition into this new medium. I got this gouache from Michael's. It's a kind of a arts and crafts store, and it's probably not the best quality. So I think I'm going to try some better quality gouaches. I don't even know what the name of it is. They are so worn down that I can't even see the name, but it's not so great. So since I've moved from oil to gouache, the biggest problem I'm having is the dry time. If anybody has used oil before, you know that it takes forever to dry, like forever. And learning gouache, it takes 2 seconds to dry. That has been the hardest thing to get used to. The first couple of paintings I did not get used to this very easily, and it really messed me up. I found my paintings really patchy and dry and dull. This time, I tried to strategically paint. You'll see as I'm painting here that I am using one color and then placing it all over, wherever I see that color. Most people, or I shouldn't say most people, but a lot of people I saw who used gouache would kind of paint in sections. I kind of like that painting in section kind of look, but the problem is the paint dries way too fast for me. So I found myself wasting so much paint if I didn't just use the different colors in the different areas I saw them. One of the trickiest parts about gouache for me was understanding the colors. When you mix gouache, it doesn't stay the same color. When the gouache dries down, it dries down a different color, almost more gray or dulled out. It's kind of hard to describe, but I had to really find a way to overcome this. I constantly found myself reworking parts of this painting, trying to get a warmer tone. You'll see me on the side putting my brush, putting paint down on this other page in my sketchbook. The reason I'm doing that is because of the patchiness of the paint, to make sure it is the right thickness, and then also because of the colors. The first couple times I used gouache, I would just go straight onto the page and it never was the color I wanted. So I decided I would test out the colors before I laid them down. I 10 out of 10 recommend this to new gouache painters. Experienced gouache painters, do what you do. Let me know if this is a stupid idea, but for me, this has helped me so much just to get down the colors I needed to get down. It also helped because I would layer some of the colors on top of other ones, and I could see if it would reactivate it or show through, or if I just had the wrong consistency. That was one of the best parts about gouache, which kind of helped me fall in love with it. Yes, I fell in love with it in this short amount of time. Just being able to put colors on top of colors without them blending together and becoming a muddy mess. It's so great. If I wanted to just cool down an area, I could take a shade of blue or something cool and put it on top, and it would not mess up the layers. Now, there is one thing about this, though, that is important to note. I have learned that if you use too much water and try to layer on top, it will reactivate the bottom layers. So a goal of mine throughout this painting was to add the right amount of water so that it would not reactivate the bottom layers unless I really needed to. This really helped keep myself from having a patchy look. A lot of times I was struggling with patchy looks in my other paintings, and it got so frustrating that I didn't know how to overcome it. But understanding the balance of paint to water ratio really helped this. The earlier stages of the painting were really about finding the form, placing colors next to colors to start creating shapes to build the face. I like to think of painting portraits as sculpting. I'm taking the clay or the paint and making it into a form, making it into shape. So really, I try not to think about what it looks like the first couple stages, especially using new mediums. I just try to get comfortable with the medium and then learn what shapes are working well together, what colors are looking nice together next to each other. At this point, though, I really was starting to enjoy where I was at. The colors were looking nice together. It almost had this playful, doll-like, almost, it gave me Hunger Games utopian. I guess that was a dystopian era. I don't know. But like otherworldly, not from this era kind of vibes. And I really liked that. I got away from it later, but I think I'm going to try something else with more colorful, playful shapes, colors, just to see what I can do, push myself a little bit. But at this point, I was really enjoying the way the colors were laying out. I think that's one of the reasons I enjoy painting portraits so much. The nuances in the skin, it's a whole world of color. And with painting gouache, I found I could really experiment with this. To be honest, I think a lot of this came down to my inexperience of painting with gouache. I found myself layering color on top of color on top of color, mainly because I was struggling getting the right shades and tones with my first mixes. But the benefit to this is by the end of it, you would see all these little layers of colors shining through. It was like if you took a human being's skin and pulled out every little color you saw. It excited me so much painting this. As time went on, I was getting better at mixing and placing the right colors on top of each other. I started using smaller brushes to get the little variances of color, especially when it came to the nose, the sides of the face, the lips, the chin. The biggest problem I had was the forehead. Oh, the forehead. It gave me so much grief. When I did the initial sketch, I had mapped out where the highlight on the forehead would be, and I thought this would prevent me from having the issues I had with the forehead. But no, it did not. Basically, at some point I had put a color down that kept shining through, and I was trying to add lighter colors on top of it, and it was just not opaque enough to keep the darker tones from showing through. I also kind of experienced the same thing with the cheeks and the chin because they were such bright highlights in my reference photo, but they weren't showing that bright because when I would mix the colors with the white, it would just end up drying so flat, so dull. Definitely a learning curve there, but overall I think I finally got it down over like 50 different tries. Since I've been an oil painter for so long and am just now like dipping my toe into other mediums, I know that's so sad. but since that's been my reality until this point, I don't have a whole bunch of brushes for other mediums, specifically gouache. I found myself struggling with the details because I didn't have a small enough brush to get fine details. It kind of makes me upset because I lost the waterline for my eyes. I had them in my initial sketch, but by the time I got to painting the eyes, it just lost its detail. And same with the lips. I kind of gave up with the detail on the lips because it was so hard to get the fine detail, the nooks and crannies, the little creases. So I just kind of moved on. I absolutely loved painting this background, which says something because I usually hide from backgrounds because I am that person who doesn't plan out how I want to do it until I'm in the middle of the painting. I truly believe that the painting will talk to you and tell you the best background for it because of the harmony, the colors. It speaks to itself. Yes, I should do more thumbnail sketches, but I'll get there one day, I think. But I love this background so much because I was able to get a painterly look with the gouache. One thing about gouache is I never thought I could get a painterly look because it dries so fast and it doesn't move like oil moves, very fluid and organically and flowy. Painterly, I guess, is a better word, more sophisticated. But with the gouache, I was able to go right into it while it was still wet to get these marks that I think were just so exquisite. I really had fun with that part. As I get closer to the end of the painting, you'll see me add little strokes next to little strokes. The reason I was doing this was because I wanted more of a blended look, but since the painting has already dried, I couldn't quite blend it out. I think that's why a lot of people who do gouache will paint section by section so that they can get a more blended look, but here you'll see it's more of a stacked shape look, which I really enjoy. I think I'll try it a little different next time, however. You'll also see me add some colored pencil here just to get those fine details. I need to go buy a finer brush, but I really like how the colored pencil would just lay on top so nicely, and I was able to get those eye details that I wasn't able to get before. Here is the final product. I hope you guys like it. I really liked it, way more than I thought I would, and it inspires me to keep going. I hope you learned something, or at least you could give me some tips on something I need to learn still. I think that's the best part about art. It's a journey. I can't start by being the best, but I can definitely look back at this video one day and see the progress that I've made, and I hope you guys are out doing the same thing. Just start. Have fun. Learn. You'll get better, I promise. Let's get better together. Bye!